wealthy farm owner stopped to buy fruit, but fell for the young vendor. Margaret Williams never expected a simple trip to the farmer's market in Portland would change her life forever. The 62-year-old widow had decided to buy watermelons for the farm estate, but when she saw the warm smile of the young vendor, she completely forgot the reason for her visit. "Good morning, ma'am. Can I help you with anything?" the young man asked, wiping his hands on the grey apron covering his beige t-shirt. Margaret adjusted her sunglasses and felt something different in her chest. There was something about his gentle manner that left her speechless for a few seconds. I was looking for watermelons," she managed to reply, noticing how his eyes sparkled as he spoke. "You came to the right place. These just arrived this morning, straight from the countryside." "Listen to this," he said, lightly tapping the fruit. "Perfect for this heat." Margaret bought 3 watermelons, far more than she needed. On her way back to the farm estate, she couldn't stop thinking about the vendor's genuine smile. It was the first time in 5 years since losing her husband that she had felt this way. The next day, she made up an excuse to return to the market. She needed oranges, she told herself. When she reached the stall, the young man greeted her like an old friend. "You came back? Were the watermelons good?" "They were delicious," Margaret replied, her heart racing. "Today I need oranges. I've got the best in the region. Let me pick the sweetest ones for you." As he carefully selected the fruit, Margaret watched his movements. There was a tenderness in every gesture, a special attention that made her feel important. "What's your name?" she asked, trying to sound casual. "Jason, ma'am. Jason Miller. And you?" "Margaret. Margaret Williams." "Nice to meet you, Mrs. Williams. Do you own a farm around here?" "Yes, on the Beaverton Highway. I'll take these oranges." In the days that followed, Margaret found reasons to keep returning to the market. She needed papayas, then apples, then pineapples. She always invented something new. Jason began waiting for her, saving the best fruit in a special box. "Mrs. Williams, I came in early today just to set aside these strawberries for you," he said one Thursday, smiling shyly. "You didn't have to do that, Jason. I wanted to. You're my special customer." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us newcomers out. Now back to the story. The routine lasted 3 weeks until Jennifer, Margaret's lawyer daughter, decided to join her mother on one of her market trips. Jennifer had noticed the farm estate's fridge was always overflowing with barely eaten fruit. "Mom, what's with all this?" Jennifer asked when she saw Margaret buying 2 dozen peaches. "They're for the house staff," Margaret lied, feeling her face grow warm. Jennifer watched the interaction between her mother and the vendor. She saw how Margaret's eyes lit up, how she took longer than necessary picking fruit, how she smiled in a way Jennifer hadn't seen in years. "Mum, can we talk in the car?" Jennifer said after they left the stall. "What is it, dear?" "That young man. You've been coming here every day because of him, haven't you?" Margaret tried to deny it, but Jennifer knew her mother too well. "Jennifer, Mom, you're 62. He must be around 25. Don't you think that's a little strange?" "There's nothing strange about making friends, Jennifer." "Friends? Mom, you've bought enough fruit to feed an army. That's not friendship, that's obsession." Her daughter's words cut deep. Margaret went 2 days without visiting the farmer's market, but the longing she felt for Jason was stronger than any embarrassment. When she returned, he asked if everything was all right. "I was worried. You always come by and then suddenly you disappeared." "I had some business at the farm estate," she lied. "Glad you're back. I saved these special mangoes just for you." Jennifer began investigating Jason. She hired a private investigator to learn more about the young man. She wanted to protect her mother from potential opportunists. The report arrived a week later. Jason Miller, 27 years old, graduated in agricultural science from Oregon State University. He had worked at the market for 2 years to support his sick mother. Clean record, no debts or legal troubles. Jennifer was surprised. She had expected to find something she could use against him, but Jason seemed to be exactly what he appeared, an honest, hard-working young man. Still, she decided to confront him. On a Tuesday, she went to the market alone. "You're Jason, aren't you?" she said, stopping in front of his stall. "Yes, I am. You're Mrs. Williams's daughter?" "I am, and I'm here to have a serious talk with you." Jason seemed uncomfortable but kept his respectful demeanor. "How can I help you?" "I want to know what your intentions are with my mother." "Intentions? I don't understand." "Don't play dumb. My mother comes here every day, buys fruit she doesn't even eat just to talk to you. You know exactly what you're doing." Jason felt his face flush with anger, but tried to stay calm. "Mrs. Johnson, with all due respect, your mother is a wonderful person. She's always treated me with kindness and courtesy. I don't see anything wrong with that. My mother is a wealthy woman, a widow, and vulnerable. If you think you can take advantage of her—" "I would never take advantage of anyone," Jason interrupted, his voice firm. "I work honestly to support my family. I don't need anyone's charity." "Then stop giving her false hope. You two have nothing in common." Jennifer left, leaving Jason shaken. When Margaret arrived the next day, she noticed he was different. "Did something happen, Jason? You seem off." "Mrs. Williams, your daughter came by yesterday." Margaret's heart raced. "What did she say?" "She thinks I have ulterior motives with you." Margaret closed her eyes, humiliation washing over her. "And do you?" The question caught Jason by surprise. He looked at this elegant woman, her blonde hair always perfectly styled, her expensive sunglasses, her clothes worth more than his monthly salary. "Mrs. Williams, Answer me, Jason. Do you have ulterior motives with me?" "I don't know if I can answer that." "Why not?" "Because the answer might not be what you want to hear." Margaret felt something break inside her chest. "Then tell me. I deserve the truth." Jason took a deep breath. "The truth is, I wait for you to arrive every day. The truth is, I set aside the best fruit just to see you smile. The truth is, you've brought a light into my days that I didn't know was missing." "Jason, but your daughter is right. We're from different worlds. You're a wealthy farm owner, educated, refined. I'm just a fruit vendor." "You're not just a fruit vendor," Margaret said, her voice trembling. "You're a good, kind, hard-working man. That's worth more than any money." "Mrs. Williams, you don't know my story." "Then tell me." Jason hesitated, but then began to speak. He told her how he had to give up his dream of working in agriculture to care for his mother when she fell ill. He talked about the sleepless nights in the hospital, about how he used his agricultural science degree to wrap the most delicate fruit. "I studied so hard to work the land to help other farmers, but when my mother needed me, I left it all behind." "You did the right thing," said Margaret, lightly touching his hand. "A man who cares for his mother with such love is a man of worth." "Your daughter doesn't think so." "My daughter is wrong." That night, Margaret had a serious talk with Jennifer. "Sweetheart, you've gone too far." "Mum, I'm just trying to protect you." "Protect me from what?" "From being happy." "Mum, you two have nothing in common." "We have more in common than you think. Jason is an honest, hard-working, caring man. Those are qualities you should value." "But Mum, what will people say?" "What people, Jennifer? What people matter more than my happiness?" Jennifer saw the determination in her mother's eyes and realized she had made a mistake, but her pride wouldn't let her admit it. "If you want to make a fool of yourself, that's your problem." The words cut Margaret deeply. The once close relationship between mother and daughter began to cool. Jason was also facing problems at home. His mother, Martha, had found out about his conversations with Margaret. "Son, what's this all about?" "What do you mean, Mum?" "Mrs. Cooper from the farmer's market told me you've been getting very close to a wealthy woman." "She's just a client, Mom." "Just a client who comes here every day?" "Son, you know rich people like that only get close to folks like us when they want something. Mrs. Williams isn't like that." "They're all like that, Jason. I learned that the hard way." "What are you talking about?" Martha hesitated before continuing. "Your father worked for a wealthy family when you were little. The lady of the house was always kind, always smiling, always polite, until the day she had to choose between defending your father and keeping the peace with her husband." Mom, she chose her husband, son. Your father was fired on the spot. No explanation, nothing. We were left with nothing, no money, no prospects. Is that the truth? It's the truth your father told me before he passed. He never wanted you to know so you wouldn't grow up with anger in your heart. Jason was shaken by the revelation. He began to rethink his relationship with Margaret. Was his mother right? Had he been naive? Margaret noticed the change in Jason's behavior. He remained polite, but the warmth was gone. Their conversations grew shorter, his smiles forced. Jason, are you okay? You seem distant. I'm fine, Mrs. Williams. Just tired. Are you sure? I feel like something's changed. Nothing's changed. Would you like to take any fruit today? The coldness in his voice broke Margaret's heart. She bought a few apples and left, feeling like she had lost something precious. That night, she cried alone in her room for the first time since her husband's passing. The loneliness she had learned to endure came rushing back. Jennifer noticed her mother's state and began to feel guilty. Maybe she had been too harsh. She decided to look deeper into Jason and his family. She discovered Martha Miller had worked as a housekeeper for several families in the region. One of them was the Williams family, over 20 years ago. Jennifer found old employee records in the farm estate's archives. There it was, Robert Miller, foreman, fired in October 2003. Mom, I need to show you something, Jennifer said, arriving home with the documents. What is it? Old employee records from the farm. Look here, Robert Miller, foreman. Margaret took the paper with trembling hands. The memory hit her like a knife. Robert Miller, the honest foreman her husband had fired in a fit of baseless jealousy. My God. Jason is Robert's son. It looks that way. Look at the firing date, October 2003. Margaret remembered that day as if it were yesterday. Her husband Charles had come home furious, accusing Robert of being too close to her. In truth, Robert had only ever greeted her politely when she visited the fields. Charles, you're being unfair, she had tried to argue at the time. Unfair? Didn't you see how he looks at you? He's just polite to me. Too polite. I don't want him here anymore. Margaret tried to intercede for Robert, but Charles was unmoved. The foreman was dismissed without just cause, leaving the whole family in uncertainty. Now she understood why Jason had distanced himself. He had discovered the connection between the families and relived the injustice his father suffered. Jennifer, I need to talk to him. Mom, maybe it's better to let it go. I can't let it go. I can't repeat the mistakes of the past. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like the video and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. The next day, Margaret went to the farmer's market, but Jason wasn't at the stall. Another vendor said he had taken the day off for personal reasons. Margaret got Jason's address from one of his co-workers and decided to go to his house. It was a modest neighborhood with small but well-kept homes. When she reached the door, she took a deep breath before knocking. A thin woman in her mid-50s with a wary expression answered, "Are you looking for someone?" "I'm looking for Jason. I'm Margaret Williams." Martha's face closed off completely. "So it's you. Can I talk to him?" "Jason isn't here. And even if he were, I'm not sure it'd be a good idea." "Please, Mrs. Cooper, I need to explain some things." "Explain what?" "How your family destroyed ours 20 years ago." "Exactly that. I want to apologize for what my husband did to Robert." Martha hesitated. She hadn't expected that. "Do you want to come in?" The house was small but very clean and tidy. Family photos decorated the living room, and Margaret recognized Robert in several of them. "Your husband was a good man," Margaret said, looking at a photo of Robert smiling. "He was the best man I ever knew," Martha replied, her voice thick with emotion. "Hard-working, honest, devoted to his family." "Martha, I tried to convince my husband not to fire him. I really did. But Charles was convinced something improper was happening." "Was there?" "Never. Robert was always respectful toward me. Charles was consumed by baseless jealousy." "Why did you never come to talk to us afterward?" The question stung Margaret. "Because I was a coward. Because I chose keeping the peace at home over fighting for justice." And now you want to make amends? I want to try to right the wrong I committed 20 years ago, even if it's too late. Martha served coffee, and the two women talked for over an hour. Margaret spoke of her guilt, of how she thought of Robert whenever she saw injustices being done. "Where is Jason?" Margaret asked. "He went to visit his father's grave. He always goes there when he's troubled. Can I go there?" "Mrs. Williams, why are you doing this? Why do you care so much?" Margaret took a deep breath. "Because I've fallen in love with your son, Martha, and because he's taught me to be a better person." "Do you have any idea what you're saying?" "I do. I know we're of different ages, from different worlds, but these past few months your son has brought me a happiness I thought I'd never feel again. And your family, your daughter. My daughter is learning to respect my choices. As for the rest of the family, well, what they think doesn't matter anymore." Martha was silent for a few minutes. "Robert always said you were different from the other farm owners. He said you had a good heart, but were trapped in a marriage that wouldn't let you be who you really were." "He said that?" "He did. Even after being fired, he didn't hold a grudge against you. He said the blame was your husband's, not yours." Margaret began to cry. "Robert was a wise and generous man, far more than I deserved. Jason is just like his father. He has the same good heart, the same tendency to see the best in people. Then help me talk to him, please." Martha gave the address of the cemetery, and Margaret set out to find Jason. When she arrived, she found him sitting on the ground beside a simple grave. "May I sit here?" she asked. Jason looked up, surprised. "Mrs. Williams, how did you find me?" "I spoke with your mother. She told me about your father. So you already know everything. I know my husband committed a great injustice. I know you suffered because of it, and I know I was a coward for not fighting for Robert." Jason didn't answer, still staring at the headstone. "He was a good man," Margaret continued. "Always respectful, always dedicated to his work. He didn't deserve what happened. My mother said you tried to defend him. I tried, but not with the strength I should have. I let fear of conflict speak louder than justice. Why are you telling me this now?" "Because I don't want the mistakes of the past to destroy what we're building in the present." Jason finally looked at her. "And what are we building, Mrs. Williams?" "I don't know. I only know that in the last few months I've felt more alive than I have in years. I know your words, your smiles, your kindness have brought color to days that were just gray. Do you realize what people will say?" "I do. They'll say I'm an old woman making a fool of myself. They'll say you're only interested in my money. They'll invent 1,000 malicious theories." "And that doesn't bother you?" "It used to, until I realized people's opinions matter far less than the chance to be happy." Jason stood and took a few steps away. "Mrs. Williams, I have feelings for you too." Margaret's heart raced. "Really? Really? When you came to the stand, my day got better. When you didn't, I worried, wondering if something had happened. Why didn't you tell me before?" "Because I was afraid. Afraid of the age difference, the social class, what people would think, and mostly afraid of being rejected. And now I'm even more afraid, because I found out my family has a bad history with yours. Jason, you're not responsible for the mistakes others made, and I'm not responsible for every decision my husband made. But how do we deal with this past? By learning from it, by doing things differently, by building something new." Jason moved closer to her. "Mrs. Williams, if we try anything, it's going to be really hard. The best things in life usually are. Are you sure about what you're doing?" "I'm sure I want to try. Are you?" Jason looked once more at his father's grave, as if seeking approval. Then he turned back to Margaret. "I am." They walked back to town together. Along the way, they talked about plans, dreams, and how they could build a relationship despite all the difficulties. "Jason, have you ever thought about going back to farming?" "I think about it every day, but I can't leave the farmer's market now. I need the income. What if I offered you a partnership? How so?" "I've been thinking about diversifying the farm estate's production, getting into organic farming. I need someone who understands modern agriculture." "Mrs. Williams, I don't want you to help me out of pity. It's not pity, it's business. You have the technical knowledge I need. I have the land and the capital. We could be partners. Jason fell silent, considering the offer. Can I think about it? Of course, you don't have to give me an answer now. When they reached the farmer's market, several people saw them together. The curious looks and whispers started immediately. It's already beginning, Jason said. Let them talk. Soon they'll find something else to gossip about. But the comments only grew louder in the days that followed. At the farmer's market, in the city, in the ladies' gossip circles, everyone was talking about the wealthy farm owner who fell for the fruit vendor. Jennifer heard the comments through friends and decided to take drastic action. She approached Jason at the market on a Thursday afternoon. I need to talk to you, she said, her tone authoritative. About what? About this charade you're pulling with my mother. There's no charade, Mrs. Johnson. Really? Then why are you considering the partnership she offered you? Jason was surprised. Margaret had told her daughter about their conversation. I haven't accepted anything yet. But you will, won't you? After all, it's quite an opportunity for someone in your position. Someone in my position? A fruit vendor who saw the chance to take advantage of a wealthy, lonely widow. Jason felt anger rising, but took a deep breath before responding. Mrs. Johnson, I'll say this once, I'm not a gold digger. If your mother is offering a partnership, it's because she believes I can contribute to her business. And you think you actually can? I do. I have a degree in agricultural science. I know the latest organic farming techniques, and I have hands-on experience with small-scale farmers. A degree? What degree? I graduated from Oregon State University. I can show you the diploma if you'd like. Jennifer was speechless. She hadn't expected Jason to be educated. Then why work at the farmer's market? Because when my mother got sick, I needed immediate income. The market gave me that opportunity. And now, you want to use my mother to get back into your field. Mrs. Johnson, your mother is a smart, successful woman. She wouldn't make a business proposal if she didn't see profit potential. My mother is vulnerable. She's letting herself be swayed by emotions. And is that so bad? It is when it could hurt her, or when it could make her happy again. Jennifer saw the sincerity in Jason's eyes and began questioning her own convictions. Do you really care for her? I do. Your mother is an extraordinary woman. But the age difference, it's just a number. What matters is how we feel together. And how do you feel? Happy, complete, like two pieces that fit perfectly. Jennifer left the conversation confused. For the first time, she considered that maybe she had misjudged the situation. That evening, she had an honest talk with her mother. Mom, I spoke with Jason today. Spoke or interrogated? A bit of both, Jennifer admitted. Mom, he really does care about you. Are you surprised? I am. I thought he was only after your money. And now? Now I think I was wrong. He spoke about you with such warmth, such respect. I could see his feelings are real. Margaret felt immense relief. Does this mean you won't try to keep me away from him anymore? It means I'll try to accept your choices, even if I still find all this very complicated. Thank you, sweetheart. Your approval means a lot to me. Mum, about the partnership proposal, what about it? Are you sure it's a good idea to mix business with feelings? I'm certain Jason is competent enough to be my partner. The feelings are just a bonus. And if the relationship doesn't work out, then we'll remain professional partners. We're civilized adults. Jennifer still had doubts but chose to trust her mother's judgment. Jason spent the weekend thinking about Margaret's offer. On Monday, he found her at the market. Mrs. Williams, I've thought about your proposal. And? I accept. But with a few conditions. Which are? First, I want a clear contract outlining each of our rights and responsibilities. Second, I want this to be a real partnership, not disguised charity. Third, if our personal relationship doesn't work, it can't affect the business. Margaret smiled. I agree to all the terms. You really are a businessman. I've learned that in life, everything should be clear and transparent. When can you start? I need to give notice here at the farmer's market. 2 weeks, okay? Perfect, I'll prepare the partnership paperwork. The news of the partnership spread quickly through town. Reactions were mixed. Some saw it as a good business opportunity. Others took it as confirmation of their romance. Margaret and Jason decided they wouldn't hide their relationship, but they also wouldn't make public displays of affection. They wanted people to respect them first, as business partners. Jason's transition from the farmer's market to the farm estate was smooth. He knew many suppliers in the region and had innovative ideas to increase productivity. Margaret, how about we start with a pilot greenhouse, he suggested during a visit to the property. What for? To test new varieties of organic vegetables. The market for gourmet products is growing fast. Is it financially viable? Absolutely. I can show you the numbers. Margaret was impressed by Jason's technical knowledge. He truly understood the subject and had a business vision. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. The first months of the partnership were a success. The pilot greenhouse produced excellent results, and they secured contracts with local restaurants. Their personal relationship also evolved naturally. They dined together after work meetings, spent weekends planning new projects, and got to know each other better every day. Margaret, can I ask you a personal question? Jason said one Sunday afternoon. Of course. What was your marriage like? The question caught Margaret off guard. Why do you want to know? Because I want to know you better. Understand your story. Margaret took a deep breath. It was a marriage of convenience. Charles was a family friend, older than me, already established in business. My parents thought it would be a good match. And you? What did you think? I was 22 and didn't know what I wanted from life. I thought marrying a stable man was the right choice. Were you happy? We had good moments. Charles was a good provider, a dedicated father, but there was never real love between us. Never. Never. It was more of a partnership, a silent agreement. He handled the business, I took care of the house and Jennifer. And now? What do you want from life now? Margaret looked at Jason fondly. I want to find out what it's like to truly love and be loved. And with me, do you feel loved? I do. For the first time in my life, I feel truly loved. Jason took her hand. I'm also discovering what it means to love like this. Even with all our differences. Because of our differences, you teach me things I'd never have learned on my own. You show me a world I never imagined. And you teach me to be spontaneous, to laugh, to have fun. You show me life can be light. They kissed for the first time that day, in the farm estate's garden as the sun set behind the trees. From that moment on, they made their relationship public. Some unkind remarks surfaced, but most people eventually accepted it. Jennifer gradually learned to live with her mother's choice. She saw how much happier, more energetic, more alive Margaret was. Mom, can I say something? She said during a visit to the farm estate. Of course, dear. I was wrong about Jason. Were you? He really loves you. And more importantly, you love him. I love him very much. Then I'm sorry. I'm sorry for being judgmental, for trying to interfere. You're forgiven, Jennifer. You were trying to protect me. And Jason's forgiven me too. He's a very generous person. Truly, that was one of the first things that caught my attention about him. 6 months after starting their partnership, the farm estate was thriving. They had expanded organic production, secured new contracts, and even begun exporting to other states. Margaret, I need to tell you something, Jason said one morning. What is it? I received a job offer in New York, a big agribusiness company. Margaret's heart stopped. Are you going to accept? I don't know. It's a great opportunity, excellent salary, room for growth. But what about our partnership? It could continue. I'd work as a consultant from here, come on weekends. And our relationship? Jason was silent for a moment. That's the problem. I don't know how it would work. Margaret felt her world crumbling. After so long without falling in love, she had found it, and now she might lose it. When do you need to give them an answer? By the end of the week. And what is your heart telling you? It's torn. It's the opportunity of a lifetime professionally. But you are the opportunity of a lifetime emotionally. Margaret hugged Jason tightly. Whatever you decide, I'll support you. Even if I leave? Even if you leave, because I love you and want your happiness. Jason was moved by Margaret's generosity. You're amazing. I'm just doing what you do when you truly love someone. That night, Jason talked to his mother about the offer. Son, what do you want to do? I don't know, Mom. It's so confusing. Let me ask you something. Can you live without Margaret? I can, but I don't want to. Then you already have your answer. But what about the professional opportunity? Son, you've built a thriving partnership here. You have a woman who truly loves you. You have a good life. Why trade all that for uncertainty? Because it might be my last chance to grow professionally. Jason, you're 27. Other opportunities will come. But a love like what you've found, that's rare. His mother's words made Jason reflect deeply. The next morning, he called the company in New York. Hello? This is Jason Miller. Jason, have you thought about our offer? I have, and I'll have to decline. Decline? Why? Because I've found something more valuable than a brilliant career. I've found a life that makes me happy. Are you sure? It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I'm absolutely sure. Thank you for your confidence. When he told Margaret about his decision, she cried with emotion. Are you sure? I don't want you to regret it later. I'll never regret it. My place is here, with you. What if another opportunity comes up? If it's here in the region, we'll talk. If it's far away, I already know my priority. What is it? You. Us. This life we've built together. A year later, the farm estate had become a benchmark for organic farming in the region. Jason was recognized as one of the most promising young entrepreneurs in New York State agribusiness. Margaret, at 63, felt more fulfilled than ever. She had found love, expanded her business, and improved her relationship with her daughter. Jason, can I ask you something? She said one evening. Anything. Marry me. The question caught Jason completely off guard. Margaret, I know I should have waited for the proposal, but I couldn't hold back. I want to marry you. Jason laughed and kissed her. I was going to propose on your birthday. Really? Really? I even bought the ring. Where is it? In the bank safe. I wanted it to be a special surprise. Can I see it? Now? Now. They went to the bank the next day. The ring was simple but elegant, exactly to Margaret's taste. It's perfect, she said, her eyes shining. So is that a yes? It's an absolute yes. The engagement was officially announced at a party on the farm estate. Friends, employees, suppliers, and clients were all present. Even some vendors from the farmers' market where Jason had worked were invited. Jennifer gave an emotional speech. When I found out about my mother's relationship with Jason, I'll admit I was worried. I had prejudices that kept me from seeing the obvious. They complete each other. The audience applauded. My mother taught Jason what it means to have stability and security. He taught her what it means to have spontaneity and joy. Together, they make the perfect couple. Martha also spoke. My son has always been a dreamer. He dreamed of working the land, having a happy family, and finding true love. Margaret made all those dreams come true. The wedding was scheduled for 3 months later. It would be a simple ceremony right there on the farm estate, just for close family and friends. But 2 weeks before the wedding, a problem arose. A group of businessmen from New York made a multi-million-dollar offer to buy the farm. Margaret, this offer would give us enough money to start fresh anywhere, Jason said. Do you want to sell? I don't know. The money is very tempting. But what about all the plans we have for the farm? We could buy a bigger property with more resources. Jason, this farm is my life. It's where I raised my daughter, where I built my story. And it's where we built our story too. Then why are you considering selling? Jason paused to think. Because maybe I'm afraid I won't be enough for you. What do you mean? Margaret, you're a wealthy, sophisticated woman used to luxury. I'm just an agricultural scientist who works with my hands in the dirt. Jason Miller, look at me. She cupped his face in her hands. You are the most honest, the most caring, the hardest working man I've ever known. You make me feel special, not the other way around. Are you sure? Absolutely, and if you think you need money to impress me, you're very mistaken. What impresses me is your dedication, your honesty, your kindness toward your mother, your passion for your work. So we're not selling? We're not selling. This farm is our home. The offer was declined, and the wedding preparations continued. A week before the ceremony, Jennifer sought Jason out for a private conversation. Jason, I need to thank you. Thank me for what? For giving me back my mother. I don't understand. In the last years of her marriage to my father, my mother had become a shadow of herself. She just went through the motions, showing no joy or enthusiasm for anything. And now she's the strong, determined woman she always was again. She's dreaming, planning, enjoying life. She was always like that. She was just stifled. And you set her free. That's why I'll always be grateful. Jennifer, can I ask you for something? Of course. Take care of her when I'm not around. She may seem strong, but she has a very tender heart. I'll take care of her. You can count on that. The wedding day arrived with a perfect blue sky. The farm estate was decorated with wildflowers, and an altar had been set up under a centuries-old tree. Margaret chose a simple champagne-colored dress that highlighted her natural elegance. Jason wore a light grey suit that matched the rustic setting perfectly. You look beautiful, he said, as he watched her walk toward him. You look handsome too, she replied, smiling. The ceremony was officiated by a justice of the peace who was a family friend. They wrote their own vows. Margaret, Jason began, you came into my life when I least expected it and changed everything. You taught me that love has no age, no expiration date, no rules. His voice trembled with emotion. I promise to love you every day of my life. I promise to respect your dreams and support your decisions. I promise to be your companion in joy and in sorrow. Now it was Margaret's turn to speak. Jason, you brought color back into my life. You taught me to laugh again, to dream again, to love again. Tears streamed down her face. I promise to cherish you every day. I promise to be your partner in business and in life. I promise to build with you a love story that inspires others to believe it's never too late to be happy. When the justice of the peace pronounced them married, the entire audience was moved. Even some of the farm estate workers cried with joy. The celebration was relaxed and merry. There was live music, dancing, home-style country food, and plenty of good conversation. During the newlyweds' dance, Jason whispered in Margaret's ear, "We did it." Did what? Proved that true love overcomes any prejudice. Yes, we did. And now? Now we'll live happily ever after. 6 months after the wedding, the farm estate had become a model of sustainable agriculture. They hosted visits from university students, researchers, and other farmers interested in learning their techniques. Jason had been invited to speak at agribusiness conferences, and Margaret was writing a book about rural entrepreneurship. Margaret, can I tell you a secret? Jason said one morning. Of course. I've been thinking about expanding our business. Into what? Education. How about we start a technical school for sustainable agriculture here on the farm? That's a fantastic idea. We could train young people to work in the field with modern techniques. Exactly. And give opportunities to people like me who couldn't afford internships at big companies. Should we start with a pilot project first? Yes, we could begin with 5 scholarship students. The idea for the technical school became reality a year later. The first class consisted of young people from low-income families in the region, all passionate about farming. Jason taught the hands-on classes, while Margaret covered management and entrepreneurship. The school quickly gained recognition and began receiving support from the state government. Did you see the paper today? Jennifer asked during a visit. No, why? There's an article about you two. It says you're the entrepreneurial couple of the year. Margaret picked up the newspaper and laughed. "Look at this, Jason, we're famous." "Famous for a good cause," he replied, "showing that love and hard work can change lives, and that it's never too late to start over." 2 years after their wedding, they received an even more special offer. A television network wanted to make a documentary about their story. "What do you think?" the producer asked during the meeting. "I think our story could inspire others," Margaret said, "especially people my age who think life is over after 60. And people my age who think they can only be with someone their own age," Jason added. The documentary aired 2 months later and had a huge impact. They received hundreds of letters from people thanking them for the inspiration. One that touched them deeply was from a 70-year-old widow who decided to go back to school after watching the program. "See," Jason said, "our story is helping others find happiness. It's the best reward we could ask for." On their 3rd wedding anniversary, they threw a celebration at the farm estate. All their friends, family, workers, and former students from the technical school were there. During the party, Jason asked for everyone's attention. "3 years ago, I was just a fruit seller, dreaming of a better life. Today, I'm a businessman, a teacher, and most importantly, the husband of the most incredible woman in the world." The crowd applauded. "Margaret taught me that age is just a number, that true love has no rules, that 2 completely different people could form a perfect union." He turned to his wife. "Thank you for coming into my life. Thank you for believing in me when even I didn't believe in myself. Thank you for giving me the chance to be happy." Margaret stepped onto the small makeshift stage. "Jason, you've given me so much more than happiness. You've given me a new life. You showed me it was possible to love and be truly loved." Tears streamed down her face. "Today we have a thriving farm estate, a school that prepares young people for the future, and a love story that inspires others. But most of all, we have each other. And that's all we need." The celebration lasted late into the night, with music, dancing, and great joy. It was the celebration of a love that surpassed all expectations and prejudices. 5 years after the wedding, the technical school had graduated over 100 students. Many of them had started their own businesses in the region, creating a network of small-scale, sustainable farmers. Margaret, now 68, was more active than ever. In addition to managing the farm estate and the school, she had become a motivational speaker, sharing her story at business events. Jason, 32, was recognized as one of the country's leading experts in sustainable agriculture. He had written 2 books on the subject and consulted for major agribusiness companies. "Margaret, can I ask you something?" he said one evening. "Of course." "Do you regret anything? Waiting so long to be truly happy? But if we'd met earlier, maybe it wouldn't have worked." "Why?" "Because I wouldn't have been mature enough to appreciate you, and you wouldn't have been ready to break free from social conventions. So everything happened at the right time, exactly at the right time." Jennifer, who now visited the farm estate regularly with her husband and their 2 young children, had become her mother's biggest supporter. "Mum, can I tell you something?" she said during a family lunch. "Of course, dear. You and Jason taught me a very important lesson." "What's that?" "That true love has no rules. It doesn't depend on age, social class, or other people's approval." "And what else?" "That we should never judge people's choices without knowing the whole story." "You've grown so much these years, Jennifer." "I grew because I had examples like you." Margaret's grandchildren adored Grandpa Jason, as they called him. He taught them about plants, animals, and the importance of caring for nature. "Grandpa Jason, were you always married to Grandma?" asked the eldest, 6 years old. "No, sweetheart. We met when you were just 2. "And how did you fall in love?" "Your grandma came to buy fruit where I worked, and when I saw her smile, I knew I wanted to see her smiling forever." "That's so sweet. And did Grandma like you too?" "She did. She said my smile brightened her day." The children found the story romantic and always asked to hear it again. Martha, Jason's mother, had moved to a house near the farm estate. At 73, she was in excellent health and helped at the technical school by teaching home-style country cooking to the students. "Son, can I tell you something?" she said during a visit. "Of course, Mom." "Your father would be so proud of you." Why? For everything you've achieved, for the man you've become, for the family you've built. Do you think he'd approve of my marriage to Margaret? I'm certain of it. Your father always said the most important thing in life is finding someone who makes you want to be a better person. And that's what Margaret does for me. And you for her too. On their 5th wedding anniversary, they decided to renew their vows in an even simpler ceremony, just close family and the farm estate's longest-serving staff. "Margaret," said Jason during the ceremony, "5 years ago I promised to love you forever. Today I renew that promise with even more certainty. You not only kept your promises, but surpassed them. You've given me more love and happiness than I ever imagined possible. Thank you for turning my life into a fairy tale." Margaret smiled through her tears. "Jason, 5 years ago, I was afraid to accept this love. I was scared of what people would think, of making a mistake. Today, I know it was the best decision of my life. You taught me that true love is brave, generous, and transformative. I promise to keep being your companion, your partner, and your biggest admirer." When they kissed, everyone present was moved. It was the renewal of a love that had grown and strengthened over time. The vow renewal celebration was simple but joyful. There was live music, home-style country food, and plenty of warm conversation among friends and family. During the party, a special surprise arrived. Several former students from the technical school showed up to congratulate the couple. "Professors, you changed our lives," said one of them. "How so?" asked Margaret. "You taught us that it's possible to succeed in life by working honestly, that even coming from humble families we can build something beautiful. And most importantly," added another former student, "you taught us that true love exists and is worth fighting for." Jason and Margaret were deeply touched by the young people's words. "You're the ones who teach us every day," said Jason. "You show us that it's worth investing in people, that it's worth believing in dreams, and that it's never too late to start over," Margaret finished. The night ended with everyone singing together a country music song that had become the unofficial anthem of the farm estate. 7 years after their marriage, Margaret and Jason's story had become legendary in the region. They were known as the couple who proved love has no age. The farm estate continued to thrive. The technical school had expanded and now offered courses at various levels. The couple had become a reference in rural entrepreneurship and sustainability. "Margaret, are you happy?" Jason asked one afternoon as they walked through the fields. "I'm fulfilled. Completely fulfilled." "Me too. Sometimes I wonder what our lives would have been like if we hadn't met. Probably you'd be working at a big company, making a lot of money. And you? I'd probably be alone on the farm estate, stuck in the same old routine. Without that spark in your eyes, without that spark in my eyes, then it's a good thing we found each other. It's the best thing that ever happened to me." They stopped in front of the tree where they had married. A plaque on the trunk read, "Here a love without end was born." "Who put this plaque here?" Margaret asked. "The workers. It was a surprise for our last anniversary." "How beautiful. A love without end. It's true. Our love really has no end. Even when we're no longer here. Especially when we're no longer here. Because our story will keep inspiring others." "How so?" "Margaret, how many people have reached out to us saying our story encouraged them to pursue happiness? So many. Then our love will keep living on through the lives we've touched. That's a beautiful way to think about it. It's the truest way." On their 10th wedding anniversary, they threw a grand celebration at the farm estate. Over 500 people attended. Family, friends, workers, former students, colleagues from agribusiness, and even strangers inspired by their story. During the party, a 25-year-old woman approached Margaret. "Mrs. Williams, may I speak with you?" "Of course, dear. My name is Rachel. I watched the documentary about you when I was going through a hard time in my life." "What kind of difficulty?" "I had broken off an engagement because my family didn't approve of my boyfriend. He was from a different social class than mine." "And then?" "Your story gave me the courage to fight for my love. I stood up to my family, married him, and today we're very happy." Margaret was moved. That's wonderful, dear. I'm so glad our story helped. It helped a lot, and I want you to know that you two are an inspiration to so many people. Thank you for sharing that with me. During the party, Jason gave a heartfelt speech. 10 years ago, I was a young man selling fruit at the farmer's market. Margaret was a lonely widow running a farm estate. The audience was completely silent. Today, we're successful business owners, respected educators, and most importantly, a happy couple building a beautiful life together. But our greatest achievement wasn't professional. Our greatest achievement was proving that true love overcomes any obstacle. We proved age is just a number, that social differences can be overcome, that prejudices can be defeated when you have the courage to follow your heart. The audience cheered enthusiastically, and I want to thank every one of you who supported our journey, who believed in our love when not everyone did. Margaret stepped onto the stage to speak as well. Jason, thank you for coming into my life when I needed it most. Thank you for teaching me it's never too late to be happy. Tears streamed down her face. And thank you to all of you who showed us that true love should be celebrated, not questioned. Who proved that a united community can support dreams and transform lives. The party lasted until dawn, filled with music, dancing, and joy. It was a celebration of a decade of love that had surpassed all expectations. At the end of the night, when the last guests had left, Margaret and Jason stood alone in the farm estate's garden. 10 years, she said. 10 incredible years, he replied. What do you think the future holds for us? More love, more projects, more achievements. And if our health doesn't allow it, then we'll cherish every moment we have together. No regrets, not a single one. They embraced under the stars, knowing they had built something special and lasting. End of story. Now tell us, what did you think of this love story that proved happiness has no age limit? Do you believe Margaret made the right choice by following her heart? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss other heartwarming stories like this one.